I never know how to do this intro, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just talk. Even though I've been slacking off a bit, even with YouTube. Again, it isn't my favorite or the best because I just don't know what to talk most of the time. But anyway, currently I'm here in Bangkok right now. This is where I'm living. I was in London for the past 5 years. I grew up in London. For those that don't know and don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram link below, you can just check that out. But yeah, I mean, I was born in London. I was raised in Italy. So 5 years ago, I moved back to London, and that is where mostly my condensed journey and all the situation happened in those years, I would say. But to make it short, I'll just go through it a bit. Again, for those that don't know me, in 2020, I went to London. Um, in between there, of course, we all know there was COVID, and they shut down the country in Italy. That was before summer, and then they reopened everything in summer when I was in Italy. And then I'm like, I just had this flash. I'm like, okay, here I think they're just gonna close again, so I'm done. I'm gonna leave. And at the time, my girlfriend, I told her, look, I need to do something with my life. I need to go and do something because I was I was being a personal trainer over there. Wasn't making that much money. It was good. I've been always doing other type of businesses. I actually had an online coaching back then. Nothing big than what it is currently right now. And yeah, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna leave. I need to do something with my life. So it was September, just after my birthday, and I left. And then sooner or later, like she said, if I told her like, do you want to come over? She said yes. I'll figure it out. I mean, I helped her find a job, and then the apartment. So we managed to have everything together. Like she had her contract, so she was secure with the income coming in. I wasn't because I was self-employed. So yeah, it didn't last long since I didn't have a job. That it was September. Then I think in November she came over like 2 weeks prior. Then lockdown hit. No job, no income. I was almost literally broke again. So I needed to figure out a way to have an income. So yeah, that was tough. That was fucking tough. Paying the rent, grocery and the usual things, right? So what happened? We were debating like, should we go back home in Italy? This isn't gonna happen. Like, it's difficult. Like, she had an income that was good, on her side. Like, again, we were still splitting the rent, so she wasn't helping me. Like, that's your money, great. So what did I do? I saw actually a road market over there. So there was a market for that. I saw a road market, like a road bike, and there was a market for road bikes back in the day. Still to this day, there's a lot of people going to work with their road bike. And I thought, well, maybe I would need one to go around because it's much more cheaper maybe than just to get a bus and everything. So I thought I'll buy one, and then I didn't like it, so I thought, oh, I'll just sell it. And sooner or later I sold the bike, double the price. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a market for this. Maybe I can do something. So I did that for a bit, a couple of months. I was actually doing it on the side because then I met my business partner at the time, and in the meantime I was doing that because I had the road bike. I was actually doing delivery, so like Deliveroo, and yeah, I was delivering that basically. And then I met my business partner, and we started off, a construction company, where I scaled it up to six figure, and it was like in 8 months, something like that. Yeah, so I was pretty good at that, I'll be honest, and we kept that going. But yeah, I think that just didn't align with me. It was hectic, even dealing with the employees, and I felt bad because like I had guys older than me. I mean, then again, it's like it's life. At the end of the day, I put in the work and the effort, and there's nothing wrong with that. but I just didn't like the feeling like firing even at like a 50-year-old guy. I'm just like, yeah, it just doesn't resonate with me. That isn't my thing. So left the shares, and I was doing barbering when the first time I went to London. So I got that again because my goal was like, okay, I'll build, I'll get good at it. I was already decent at it, not that great. I mean, I was barbering since I was 18, so it was a skill of mine that actually helped me survive those hard times. Went back doing barbering, and while I was doing barbering, that was literally after I got out of the company, went back barbering. September came by, so that was a year in London with my girlfriend at the time. We went to Italy for holidays, and that was a year because there was lockdown and everything, and we couldn't travel. Total mess. And of course, her being Italian, she misses the family in Italy, and me too, of course. So we flew back there. We supposed to stay there a week. Had a bit of an argument, but that is a bit more personal. I wouldn't even say that it wasn't even my fault, even though maybe it was prior, because I think her emotions start building up and already going in that not in that negative thought, but she was already building that thought that things weren't working out. I was always working, I was focusing on business, and so for her, in her mind, it was like, oh, you're just focusing on business or money and yada yada. If we want to have a family, you're not gonna be there for us because you're just focusing. Like, my focus was only there. Like, when I had a bit of time, it was on her, but I almost never had time. And yeah, that's my bad. But I couldn't see that coming at the time, and we were already together for now, like, for 4 years, and we were talking about family. That's why I was just so working and so driven on that I got to the point that I started neglecting my health, not taking care of myself. I didn't really like keep up the standards that I should have as a man. And yeah, things just started deteriorating for me because, again, my focus was just on work, on business. So when we went back to Italy, that is, she didn't, come and see my parents. I didn't go and see hers, but yeah, so already that triggered me a bit, and then other discussions, arguments came along the line, and then it's like, she said, oh, I'm just staying here another week. I'm like, what do you mean you're staying here another week? Like, oh yeah, at work they told me that I could stay another week because they didn't have any work. So I'm like, okay, well, we planned to go back together, but I guess she wanted to stay there for even other reasons. And yeah, that was that. I left. I went back on my own. Funny part, maybe not much of a funny part, but I'll just say it now. Like, I didn't realize it now in that moment. I realized it later on. She met this guy he was a bouncer. She knew the guy that was my friend, that he was a bouncer, that he was working with this other guy that, of course, she met. That further down the line, they got together and they had a kid. But yeah, that's a story for another day. And anyway, so yeah, I go back to London. She comes later on, and then she just says, I didn't see nothing with you. I just want to leave. I want to break up. This isn't for me. This isn't my life. I don't love you. The worst things that anyone can tell you in a relationship. She told me that, and my world just collapsed. I just honestly, I just didn't know what to do. Like, people would tell me, friends, oh, just try it, try to fix it, try to cook for her, show up. I'm like, once the vase, once the is it vase? Yeah, the vase, you got the plant in. Like, it's an Italian thing that we say. Quando il vaso è rotto, è difficile incollarlo. Something like that. Quando we've got a saying in Italian that it's like, quando il vaso è rotto non si aggiusta più. Anyway, we have a saying in Italian, and it's like, you know, we have a saying in Italian that when the pot of like you put the plant in, when the pot is broken, you can't fix it. There's always going to be a crack. So for me, it's like it was done, it was over. I'm not gonna try. Like I'm already a guy that is already a number guy, and you know, so it's like if it's 90%, it's already not gonna work. But I tried a bit, but it wasn't working, and that was, yeah, that hit me really hard. We were living together and everything, and I of course didn't kick her out, but it was really really, I was suffering a lot. I was suffering a lot. I couldn't see myself anymore. I didn't know who I was, what I was doing. I didn't even know like how life was gonna be. Like I was so down, and she was just there laughing because she already got over it in her mind months ago before she was gonna tell me. So she was there smiling at me, laughing, just waiting to leave. And I couldn't wait, honestly, that she was going to leave. And at the end, she left, and when she left, it was even worse. I was just like a zombie. Yeah, my life was literally, I didn't even want to live anymore. Like, I was waking up, crying myself, wasn't eating. Maybe I would have a meal a day, maybe two. I was dragging my ass to work. I was crying at work. I definitely wasn't going to the gym. I looked like shit. I just didn't feel myself again. It's like I was just trying to find validation from the external things, and I just didn't even want to live. Not saying that I was gonna like suicidal thoughts, but I was just living just to live the day. I didn't have a purpose anymore because everything that I was doing was all around her and me and building up this family. Like most of every couple, right? They want to like build something together. And in that case, that just was for us. But then, of course, we all go through it, right? I'm not saying everyone, but you might go through it, you know how it feels. You're there trying to give everything you can. You want to like support her. You want to like build something together, and then everything just collapses and like your world just falls apart in a blink of an eye. So yeah, that was really tough. I I started sabotaging myself, my life. I thought, that's it, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to keep working, keep striving, keep building. So that is when I started like, the thing is, I didn't even have family or friends around me that much, and I was like hanging out maybe with random people, going out, partying, drinking, like literally destroying my health. And I just went back doing barbering, but then again I didn't even enjoy that, just because I just had this fear of rejection. So for me, like going out and going with people, drinking, and doing all these things, it was like it was just feeling the void. I was like, I needed some validation from the external, from people to make me feel good, and I thought that was actually going to help me. Or even going out with women or trying to date and thinking that it was going to solve the problem. And in reality, after all of that, months of doing that and just wasting time, it didn't solve me nothing. And I'll tell you, the fun part was I actually said, right, I need to get my shit together. I need to stop doing this. I need to refine who I am. I need to realign with myself and my values, my principles. And so what I did, luckily I had experience in fitness and nutrition, and I just needed to like rebuild that consistency that I had. And I thought that was maybe going to work. If I would focus on that, then I would get out of the pain and the situation I'm in and the downfall that I'm going through and the sabotaging things that I was putting myself through. Because I just felt like shit, like low energy, like I just didn't really want to do nothing. Again, I didn't have any ambitions, I didn't have any goals, I didn't have a clear vision of where I wanted to go. So I started going to the gym. I started, eating a bit more healthy. But again, that was tough. I was keep going, doing the things, thinking that it was gonna work, and then I would, every time I would do a gym session, I would go back home and I would just like tear again. And this is already after like a year and a half, and I just couldn't get over it. I just didn't know what it was. I was doing the right things. I was eating healthy, going to the gym, but still nothing. I still didn't even look the way I wanted to look. So I understood that no matter the experience I had in eating healthy, nutrition wise, supplementation, yada yada, all those things, going to the gym for years, that just didn't help. And I just couldn't understand why, because I was still sabotaging myself, but it was a mental thing. I still didn't know who I was. I was still attached to that old version of myself in that relationship. I just couldn't get over it. My mind, my thoughts, my actions, my daily things that I was doing, it was still that old version of me. So in order for me to change that, I needed to become that new version of myself. I needed to realign with myself again. I needed to find that new identity that would get me out of the situation that I was in, that I just couldn't get out. And the only way for me to do that was rebuilding myself from zero. That was waking up early, doing something that I never did and I don't like doing, but it gave me the discipline and the understanding that I need to become that new version of myself. I need to do this, and I need to crush that old version, because that old version of me would never do what I'm doing now. So it was all about a mental aspect of it. I was waking up early, I was journaling, I was meditating here and there. It's a bit difficult. I've got HDHD, it looks like who doesn't have it these days, but honestly it's just an excuse. But I've tried. I started focusing on my priorities, what I really wanted in life, where I wanted to go. And it wasn't only about who I was or what did I want to achieve, where did I want to go. It was more about who did I want to become? Which version of me was going to get me out of that situation? And that version needed to be built, and that is what I did. Every single day I did the same things over and over again until I actually built a system that allowed me to get to where I am today. But it took me months, if not years, for me. Now I teach it in 6 months up to a year. You can completely change your life. But it took me months and months to build this system that I have today. Now I managed to realign with myself, and I managed to rebuild my new identity. But I showed up every single day. I put in the work. I managed to build a system even on the nutrition side that it was just easy for me to follow, because my days were just so busy. So sometimes I even fast because it's just easy for me, and it works, because I needed that mental clarity even in the morning, because then I started my business. So I was working early in the morning, then I would go and do my day job, then I would come back later at night, I would go to the gym. So my day was like, you wake up 4 or 5 in the morning, do all my things, my journaling, my reading, my meditation, my wake up, my push-ups that I would do, because it wasn't more about like building strength, it was just a mental tough thing to do for me. So that would actually like push me straight in the day. And I would go to work at 9, finish at 7, go home 45 minutes. I would be in the gym around, I would say 9:30, finish 10:30, an hour, and then I'll go to work, I'll shower, I'll eat, and then while I'm eating, I'm working again up until midnight, or even sometimes 1 a.m. That's rare. so I'll push it a bit, but I'll try to get at least 5 to 6 hours sleep. That was my schedule. And all of that I did, everything that I created, everything that I built after that breakup, that breakup allowed me to do all those things and to get me to where I am today. But it was because I used that pain for a purpose. If I didn't have that and find a solution, I would have been lost. Like, my life wouldn't even have any more like sense. But I knew there was something big. I knew that, the universe realigned me and sent me in a different direction. Said, Chris, I'm going to humble you again, and you're going to pick yourself up, and you're going to do the inner work. You're going to find your new version of yourself. You're going to realign with yourself. You're going to rebuild that new identity that you're supposed to have. And that is what I did every single day. I just didn't quit. I was keep going no matter what. And I'm glad that I went through that. And I'm glad that I had that breakup. That breakup made me lose my health, my wealth, and my relationship. And guess what? I am so glad that it did, because it completely rebuilt myself. It completely changed me. So even this one thing, you might fill in the void with going to work, going out with friends, going out drinking, sabotaging yourself, keeping that same version of you instead of actually building and improving it. I'll tell you one thing is that I chased all that. I chased the money. I chased building up businesses, but it just didn't fill me. Like, I was just detached from that after a while. Those things, they don't give you happiness. What really gives you happiness in life is finding the true value in yourself, realigning with yourself, and understand who you are as a person. What are your standards? What are your principles? What are your values? Your morals? What is it that you're actually looking for? Who is it, that person that you really want to become, so can actually attract the right things in your life? Because you can keep finding the validation from the external, trying to fill the void. You want that person because, you went through this breakup. If you went through that breakup, there's a lesson to be learned. You are not ready. You still don't love yourself. You can't keep yourself accountable because you need to hang on someone else. You can't stay alone because you've just filled the need to be around someone because you just still don't love yourself being on your own. I do. Like, I'm on my own. I've got, a flat here in Bangkok, like, pretty good view. Again, this is all I need. I don't need much. It's like an apartment, and it's an apartment for one. And I might not even stay much here, but I just need to move and just settle. So further down the line, I might go and get another apartment. But anyway, nothing is going to make you happy more than yourself. If you realign with yourself, you understand your true values and what I just said, and find your new identity, trust me, you are going to be so happy because you are going to love yourself again. And when you have all these things, you are going to attract the right person in your life. You don't need to stay there finding them, or you're going to stress out because you're getting too old and you need someone in your life. Great. Get your shit together, do these things, act on them every single day, and trust me, life would be so much easier. I know it's painful going through the journey that you are maybe right now. You think, oh, I don't have hope, but trust me, if you just find yourself internally and who you really want to become, you are going to attract the right person. I've been 5 years single now. I'm so happy. I don't seek validation from no one. I'm not going to, because I'm desperate, I need to jump into a relationship, because I know my value. I know my standards. Unfortunately, I have high standards now. That breakup taught me a big lesson. That I didn't know who I was. I was just hanging on to her because it was just comfortable. I was being comfortable. I was just attached to that relationship. But now I can easily detach from anyone. You might think, oh, but that's mean to say. You don't have a heart or something. No, it's because I just care too much about my peace. If you want to come into my life and I see you bring value to it, then great. Because I know what I went through and I know the hard work that I put in to get to where I am today. So if you don't align and you don't add any value, then I'm sorry, you can keep walking. This is how it is. So when you do all this internal work, you are easily going to see if the person you have in front of you aligns with you and you're going to get along and they're going to add value, or they're not. And you're just going to move on because your peace is too precious. You don't want to get it ruined by someone that is just going to bring chaos and headache and traumas. You don't want all that. You just don't. This is what it's all about. It's refining yourself, realigning with yourself, and rebuilding your new identity so you stop sabotaging yourself. That is what I've learned these past years. So I'm going to try to come up here and speak a bit more, but I hope you understood a bit, my journey and what I went through. If you've got any questions, you want to talk, feel free. Again, my link is below with my Instagram, so you can just DM me there and I'll reach out to you. There's me directly in the DMs, there's no one else, so feel free. We'll have a chat and I'll see if I can help you.